Well, the story starts before I was born. My mother and dad met outside of Dawson Trotman's office in 1943. My mother was going to what was then called the Bible Institute of Los Angeles, across the street from the Church of the Open Door. Dawes had an office right down the street, and he kind of doubled quietly as the Dean of Men, and that was the place where a lot of the sailors coming to port and the 4F Bible students that didn't go out for the war met all the gals that really wanted to go into consider life in ministry. My dad had some friends from Texas, and she was from the state of Washington, and they had mutual friends that met together. And so I heard stories of Dawes and then later his little son Bruce growing up. I heard of the sadness of them losing him up at Schroon Lake. Knew the Wurtsons up there, and I had a lot of connections. So let's just say the heritage of myself. I had the opportunity to learn verses often because that was the heritage my folks started their lives on. So I knew of the Navigators and continued to utilize a lot of those stories and studies that were involved with not only the materials, but the relationships and the people that influenced me on those early days, especially in my life. Just recently, I met a guy, and being in South Louisiana, it's always a creative opportunity to see where people are coming from. I met this guy that's a little bit of a Cajun background, and so he's got a business degree, he's got a law degree, and he's also got a tugboat captain license. And so there's always these mix of the fascinating with the normal that you get to do that. And I met this guy a couple weeks ago, and he was just telling me how that he was involved in wanting to do ministry, wanting to do business, did law, but then he had this fascinating life as a tugboat captain. And through some just kind of some demise of relationships, you have to be entrenched in family in order to get into that system. And his marriage was breaking apart, and a lot of things were falling apart in life. And he's now looking at, how do I really go back to the roots that which I know? And John has started meeting with me, and we're going to start working through the topical memory system. He's starting some startups, he's getting some things together, but he's really wanting to know, how do I get back to my roots? And I said, there's nothing like going back to those verses that will never leave you, those things that are at the center. What is Christ the center? I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ lives in and through me. The life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. I look at all these things that he wants, and he goes, I just really need somebody to walk beside me as I get going and starting life over. And I really want to be an influence. I want to be a carrier. I want to be a reproducer. And that's just John. The stories and the opportunities are always there, and it's not always the big platform that's up front and making a big splash, but it's the steady, ongoing relational opportunities to know Christ and make him known. That I'm excited to do that, but I'm more excited to do that with people that will go do it likewise, like 2 Timothy